Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thirsty, I hope you are, and thanks for joining me. Jeff, how are you, buddy? Hi, Sue Green. Good to see you again. It's been a while. We have a wonderful little show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about Rosé. And basically, a couple things happened. Maybe you already can suspect that this container backlog in the harbors has really slowed down the importation of wine. And a lot of the 2020 wines are still kind of rolling in. And if they were in stock, importers typically didn't take all of their stock in one shipment. They would parse it out. But we're going to be seeing 2020s that were due in May coming as late as December this year, because I've got a friend who's an importer and her wine is sitting on the dock. Well, not literally on the dock, but waiting for a container to come pick it up in Portugal. And it's been sitting there for over 60 days. So there's still quite a strain on the supply of containers. And I guess what's happening too is that a lot of container ships are going back to China empty, because the people that are in the business of importing high-end goods are willing to pay, instead of $2,000 to $3,000 a container, they're going to pay $10,000 a container to get it. So they're going where the money's going, and they're going empty because they don't have to slow down, load back up, and bring that container ship back. So it's quite a challenge, but these type of things work their way out over the long haul. It's just going to be a little bumpy. But we've got 3 rosés that have come in the last month or so. In fact, one I was expecting to get back in April or May of this year. And so we included it in tonight's show because it was so delayed. I haven't even tasted it since I tasted a barrel sample back in, I don't know, March or something like that. So I'm excited to taste these wines with you. And so thank you guys for joining me. My name is Ian Blackburn. I'm a wine educator, and I've been doing wine classes since 1995 and hosted my own program called learnaboutwine.com. We still offer our programs at Learn About Wine, but until we're healthy again, we're going to keep those live events minimized and keep our efforts here and then on the wine store that we operate called merchantofwine.com. And all 3 of the wines that we're going to taste tonight are available on Merchant of Wine. So I'm going to start off by just kind of going over some of those, and let's see if I can get our first victim up here. We're going to taste tonight. We're going to start off with Vino Verde, and some of you may have bottle sets and some of you may have tasting kits. We do both. Hopefully the Vino Verde made it in its proper form if you're tasting with me, because Vino Verde has a little bit of effervescence. It is now bottled with a screw cap, and when you take that screw cap off, you'll hear a little psst, and there's a little bit of pressure in there. That's fresh and live. I don't have too much experience to know if this goes flat really quick. How does it taste flat? Because both the other wines that we're going to be tasting tonight are bottled to be flat, but they like a little bit of effervescence here, just to kind of give it a balance, some fun, some freshness. And I will say that on a warm Los Angeles, 85 degree day that we're going to have from now until the end of time, this is like the best possible, thing to have at the right about now, sunset, and we got a day behind us. Nothing is going to be more chill, more refreshing. I think this category has suffered a little bit like White Zinfandel kind of crushed the American rosé market. There were some pretty inexpensive Vino Verde wines. I think Lancers was a Vino Verde back in the day. I'm not 100% sure. I was a little too young. I think I put Scotch tape on the outside of those bottles that my grandparents drank. That category, I think it was a Portuguese Vino Verde. And it was, that kind of wine, that kind of mass market moment. Wines like Blue Nun and other things were coming into the U.S. and people were gobbling them up. But we got to start somewhere, right? And now the wine market has improved. Back then we were just making what we could make to find customers, and now the customers are more savvy. Grape growers are more savvy. There's a whole ethos and ecosystem to the wine industry, and a lot of these people follow a much higher path, including our first producer. So let's go right into our slideshow and take a look. And here we go. And cheers to you all for joining me tonight, talking about Rosé. Good to have you. Jeff, everything made it this time?
Yes, everything made it just fine, right on time.
Awesome. I love it when it
Absolutely
works out. Did you get these chilled down for yourself?
Oh, totally. No, they came early afternoon, so I was able to chill them down and stuff. Even my wife's even on time here.
Cheers.
This is
All
crazy.
right.
How are you, Ian?
Good to see you both. Thank you.
Good to see you.
I
Excited.
actually only see half of you, though.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you know what? Maybe I need to.
I'm sorry. You gotta change your mode.
I blame myself here.
All right.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's way better. Way better.
Yeah,
Good to see
okay.
you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Sue, you've got a castle behind you today. I've not seen the castle before.
Is it us? No.
I'm looking at
No.
Oh.
It's not really I'm supposed to be in a castle in Dordogne right now.
Ah,
We got kind of afraid of what France was requiring to tour around and go places. So this is actually Taylor Champagne in upper state New York, the very first licensed winery in the United States right after the revolution. It's got like a #1 designation for
wow. Very cool.
taxed.
Taylor Cellars.
Well, now it's called Great Western because it's Western New York, but it's in New York. And it was a beautiful place. It was a harvest host. We were on an RV trip back east, and we stayed there on their property. The buildings are gorgeous. They, their wines tend to be sweeter than what we like.
Sure.
Taylor Champagne was bought out by Coca-Cola, and they kind of ran it into the ground apparently. But it's still a beautiful place to visit.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting case study to look into. Winery #1. That's pretty impressive. Barbara, where are you at tonight?
I'm in Pasadena tonight.
Right.
Glad to be here.
Setsuko's in Japan. She's tuning in. So we're kind of all different corners here. This is good. Well, let's talk about our Vino Verde. And we love to have fun with rosé. We sell a ton of rosé, and rosé is still gunning here, and we have a huge selection. I just wanted to narrow down stuff, quite frankly, stuff that I wanted to talk about. I don't get to talk about enough, and pushes me to learn a few new things. And it's quite a developing country. We've now got a record number of wines on the website from Portugal. We're probably well past a dozen different offerings from Portugal, and there's a lot of new wines that just actually got put up in the last week. But this is Vino Verde, northern Portugal, and I've attended a number of seminars on what what they wanted us to hear was coming and all that stuff, and I think it's finally here. That the Portuguese, the learning curve has gotten to a point where people are willing to give these Portuguese wines a chance, and so we've got reds, we've got whites, and we've got rosés, and of course we've got the dessert wine styles as well. I love my port wine, but man, the dry reds and the really crispy, fun, high acid whites, they're impressive, and they come from vineyards that are just gorgeous setting with incredible minerality, the stone, the ocean influence. the history all goes together to make Portugal just a really fantastic grape grower. And this producer here is, even though it doesn't say it on the front label, the producer is named Quinta da Liça, or Licha, and it is they're able to make multiple different brands. That's what we do here in California too. You know, we have our, you know, at Winery X, they'll have a license to make 25,000 cases, but they only need to make 10,000 cases to be a brand. So they license out the space to make another 15,000 cases for other people. So this is made probably with even different investors, with different importers, different fruit sources, but it's bottled here, Quinta da Liça, and it is a pretty large and impressive estate, 105 hectares, that's about 250 acres. Everything is grown organic. A lot of biodynamic principles are in place, but they don't pay for biodynamic certification, which is something you'll hear a lot of people say. But sustainability is really the most important thing. And actually at this property here, they have a full-on resort that you could go and visit. It's an eco resort, so everything is done in a very natural path, sustainable type of a cultural thing. And they have really aimed to have very low carbon footprint. So this is wine number 1, and we'll stop right here and take a look at it again on the website. Go back there. Probably shouldn't have closed that. There we go. And it's called Sol Real Vinho Verde. It's a blend of Touriga Nacional, which is a very important red grape variety in Portugal, prevalent in port wine, fortified port wine, but also prevalent in the big, bold reds that you're seeing coming out of Portugal. Espadero is the other 40% here. And there are a lot of very indigenous grape varieties that can be blended together or gone monovarietal and turned into Vinho Verde, because Vinho Verde is the name of the place. And so they make these bright, high acid, fresh expressions. And if you just smell that glass, you just get that beautiful aromatic 10.5 alcohol, so pretty restrained. When you smell it in the nose, your nose is going to get pretty close to the glass. And the first thing we're going to kind of pick up on is that rocky, crunchy, rocky minerality, and that little bit of stony notion. Ranges from strawberry to some sort of a red fruit skin. Soft cherry, maybe. There's this wonderful little spritz. And as soon as you drink a little bit, you want to pour yourself a little bit more, because it's so refreshing. It like brings you right back. I mean, this is like, 10.5 alcohol. I mean, if you had a desk job, you could probably drink this at work and not get in trouble. And this is bone dry, and that spritz helps really kind of give it a little character, makes it just lip smacking good, just really, really refreshing. I've carried, and throughout the year, I'll carry many different types because these do run out of stock. And they'll range between $10, $50, and $12 a bottle. This one's on a little bit of a premium side. This has got a really good track record, and it's really tasty. And again, I really enjoy it. I would love to hear what you guys think of it. Jeff, you've got some. Did you already finish yours?
It's awesome.
The problem is splitting the vial. That's
that would be an ambitious split there.
She's like, why didn't you get 2 tastings?
I
She
know.
was supposed to be traveling for business.
Yep.
Oh, geez. No, I really enjoyed this. There's almost a little bit of a, in the background, kind of a cotton candy sweetness,
Yeah,
almost to the
he
fruit,
talks
that.
It's like that fresh that strawberry, strawberry type of a character, but no sweetness though, right?
No, totally. But it's just, I don't know. It's just that note in there. It's the fruit. It's more the nature of the fruit than yeah.
Yeah. Last night, my wife came home from the farmer's market with a bag full of grapes, and I was super excited. And I opened up the bag, and it just smelled like cheap cosmetics. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And they've been playing with these grape varieties now, and so she pulled out one cluster and was like, "These are apple. These are cotton candy grapes." And I'm like,
Yep.
oh no.
Yeah. Just ruined it for me, right?
Yeah. The apple ones don't taste too bad, actually, but they still taste like grapes, which is good. The cotton candy ones are unedible. They're a
bit much.
There was a third one. I don't remember what it was trying to achieve, but I thought it was strange. Anyway, this Vino Verde does kind of brighten you up with a little bit of a freshness, and I love the little kind of neon pink that it also pulls off. But that's from the Touriga Nacional, which is one of the thickest grape varieties on the planet. Thickest skins.
The skin is
like inky color, and so it comes off really nice, little pretty pink.
So I'm getting a lot of citrus, and it's wonderful. But there's almost like a little bit of a pucker. It's wonderful, but it's real citrusy to me. Yeah,
for sure. And we also carry the non-rosé version of this wine, and it's even more lemon lime.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know what you could even pull out of this wine? It's like watermelon.
Yep.
Kind of a watermelon.
Watermelon, the sour, yeah.
Yeah, like maybe like a watermelon candy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We're buying it. This is really good.
I know.
Yeah, this
great,
is
great for number one, boy.
I know. And the fizz, the light bubbles is just it's really lovely.
It is. Yeah.
I should put a little warning here though. It's really hard not to pound a bottle of this every time.
Oh no, I know. I
can see that.
Because I just had a little bit.
Yeah, you should have got a bottle of this one.
Next time, Jeff. Next time.
Wow. Can't win. Okay.
Hey, you got some points. You found something good. And look at that price point, Jeff. Come on, you're gonna get off champion.
$11.79. How many can I get you?
Like a case, 4 or 5 cases.
Cheaper by the case. Cheaper by the case.
She loves it.
10% off on a case, by the way. So.
That's
right. I'm glad you liked it. Don't want to start a fight though, so let's move on.
There we go.
Wow, it's almost transparent.
Yeah, this one's got a really light color.
Yeah. Wow.
We're moving to Corsica here.
Corsica.
Oh, nice.
And look at that. That goes from the red hues, and now we're in kind of this peach color.
Oh yeah, totally peach.
Beautiful peach.
Change with me.
What?
And this is I gotta put back on my little chart here. Pronunciation guide. It's pronounced Chacarello. Chacarello. That is nice. That
sounds like a name of a Beach Boys song or something.
Yeah, that's how you take SCIACCARELLU. Got to buy a vowel or something like that to be able to pronounce that. But we're in Corsica. This is a wine of Corsica, and I'll talk about what that means here in a second. But it's single grape variety. It's definitely on Arguello schist soils. And I love the wines of the Mediterranean island wine. I don't care what island the wine comes from, to be honest. I love wines from islands. I should even be able to say that. I even had some great wines off Catalina. So I haven't had a good wine off of Hawaii yet. I know they try to make a pineapple wine there, but so far there's some really interesting wines off different islands. But this is the kind of the mountains and the sea is what they think of when they think of Corsica. Beautiful place, of course, very famous for, this is Napoleon's home, and real close to the coast of France. Actually French, not Italian. And so it falls under the Appellation Origin Control laws, and it is an AOP zone. So lots of little smaller growing areas and a lot of different grape varieties throughout the island. You'd be surprised, how much wine, it's French culture, so wine is everywhere. I mean, like every single family grows grapes in Corsica. And there's some really beautiful, visuals here, climate, the stoniness. It's a really impressive spot. Now, the grape variety you might not have heard of before, but wines of Corsica have been coming into America for a very long time, and there's a heck of a selection. And there's almost a price up. You kind of got to lean into the price a little bit. They price them up a little higher. Of course, this wine is a great value at $15.97, but they intend this wine to be $24. And because it came in a little late for the season, they made it pretty aggressive. And there's a lot of rosé to sell this year. Every single producer around the world has a lot of rosé to sell this year, and so there's a lot of downward pressure on rosé pricing. We're at $15.79 a bottle on this wine, and again was due to be about $24. Terra Nostra is the name of the brand. When I smell it, again, that first initial impact, you got something here with a little bit more alcohol than we just left in Portugal. We moved from 10.5 to 13%. I think it's 13, maybe it's 12 on the back. 12% on the back label. The nose is gorgeous. Like, it's got, all the same stuff that fresh, almost like underripe strawberry. A little more floral here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Kind of white peach, maybe something like that. Some kind of stone fruit, something.
Yeah, that's a good note. Something between apricot, white peach. There's something in the nose that almost smells like it's going to be sweet, and then you put it in and that's very fragrant, very aromatic.
Yeah.
I always tell people when you're doing a blind tasting and you get a wine that smells like perfume, it's probably France.
Mm-hmm.
And if it smells like spices and herbs, it's probably Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is very, falls very much in line with the French, the typical French motto in the wine production. Very hands off, very a lot of restraint, and just beautiful balance and elegance. It's got a little bit more flesh. Acidity here doesn't really start to connect with your palate until you've swallowed that and you've enjoyed a more plush and luscious type of an experience. This is a bit more maybe what you would expect. I think the Vino Verdes kind of surprise you with how fresh and light they are. It takes you twice as long to even drink this wine because the Vino Verde almost evaporates in your mouth. This has got some richness and dense concentration, some nice intensity, persistence, and I really like the zestiness in the nose, that island sensibility. There's that kind of like if you were visiting an island, you would expect a little, especially very close to the equator, you get a little bit of that sunshine influence. That's why it's got that real dynamic sunrise nose. And then there's almost like an ocean of saltiness.
Yeah, there is a salty. Yeah.
Yeah, a little ocean air, you know.
Okay, that's a good call. I was gonna, yeah, it almost seems like there's a slight herbal quality on the palate, but maybe that's the salinity you're talking about too.
Salinity, that floral note. I'm trying to narrow down what kind of flowers you might be able. If anyone's got a kind of penchant for flowers and naming flowers, you can.
Well, it's not a honeysuckle, but violet.
Get like acacia or something like that, like something, just a white blossom type of thing.
And you might even go into kind of like that Provençal lavender.
The lavender, yeah.
Okay. It's a kind of a thinking, a wine that makes you think.
There is.
And you can kind of unwind some of the complexities, and maybe because of the fact that you don't drink Corsican Rosé every day. Second, being able to pronounce the grape variety is a tongue twister, but it is got a nice dry finish on the wine, but it really kind of evokes the mind to think about the florals and the ripeness and the peach and that set of complexities that make it an interesting rosé. And I think it in a world where a lot of the Provence rosés are so good, but they're almost a sameness there. This kind of breaks away from that and really establishes itself as something a little different. That island influence, the varietal choice, but this is made just like a Provence rosé. It's direct to press, keeping the freshness, lightness in the color, and really, really a pretty wine. Very pretty. Good value too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that touch of body that's there is probably coming from the alcohol. I assume there's no lees or anything going on here, or is there?
Yeah, I don't see that.
I'm not smelling it or anything, but
wine. I think that it's not. It wouldn't be typical to Provence to do that much either. They might play around on a higher end version with maybe a little wood and maybe a little bit of lees, and maybe influencing that wine. But this wine being priced where it's at, it's pretty aggressive and probably keeps it pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially jumping from that 10.5 to 12. That's a pretty significant jump, and you smell the sunshine here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. The nose is really nice.
All right, so we're gonna move past our wine number 2 into wine number 3. Just gotta look here. The Chacarello that we just tasted, and maybe when we were tasting it, we should have been looking at that view right there. That's what you get in when you're in Corsica, looking around. Every time I talk to a wine professional, they're showing me their view. They don't show me the vineyard. Notice there's no vineyard shots here. They just show me the view.
Oh, let me
That's right, yeah.
make you jealous right now.
Exactly. So now we go to
this is amazing.
Our Bandol.
What's the Tempe is.
So Bandals usually do arrive a little bit later. There's a little bit more in the wine production process to a Bandal. So they don't tend to be the first wines to arrive on the shore. So this wine kind of arrived maybe just on time or maybe just a little bit late, but we tend to think of Bandals as being maybe even more of third, fourth quarter wines rather than just the freshness of summer, because there's a little bit more weight here. When we look at France, we're in Provence, but there is a portion of Provence known as Bandal. And the Bandal region's been making rosé for a very long time, and we are looking at little richer soils, older vines, and a lot of history in the winemaking production process. This is our producer, Delille, and they make about 10,000 cases. AOC Bandal, established in 1941. So a pretty well organized appellation. There's no more Bandal to buy or plant. It's all been planted for quite a while. So while other areas are growing and pushing out the boundaries, Bandal is just kind of continuing to say, here we are again. And let me remind you that they planted us early because we're a really important spot for growing the grapes. They do have their own processes here. They're not necessarily made the same way as the wines around them in Provence. They do use a little bit of saignée as well as direct to press. Saignée meaning bleeding of the grape skin, so they'll put the red wine grapes in the red wine tank, and then they'll just allow for a little bit of extraction and then bleed it off. And that could be 3 or 4 days. I'm not sure who, everyone's got a different process, and depending on the temperature and the thickness of the skins. We're looking at Mourvèdre, Grenache, and Cinsault here, which are kind of more what you would expect. These wines can age as well, Bandal rosés. It is not a crime to buy some of these and put them in your cellar and open them up and not worry about them being 2020. I would actually probably think that 2020 rosés are going to be better next year, but they kind of come and go pretty quickly. And by January, February, if you're thinking about having a heartier rosé, you'll want to have these in your cellar because they'll be sold out at the wine shops. And that's kind of the idea. Yeah. Look at this. The comment here is that they'll age up to 20 years. And this is because they're just made a little bit more with that oxidative winemaking process. The soil types and the growing patterns, the vineyards that they come from. They still have that beautiful ocean. Look at that proximity to the ocean. That's amazing. Great view for a vineyard.
Can you explain that bleeding off? I've never heard of that before.
Sure.
What's that?
So there's basically kind of 3 ways that you can make rosé. And the first one I'll talk about is what we just talked about, saignée. So they take all, you're gonna make Cabernet. You put all your Cabernet in the tank, and you've probably de-stemmed it, and you've got the berries in there, and you'll break some of the berries. Maybe you'll do a foot tread, or you'll start pushing down and pushing the grape berries underneath the natural juices that are coming out of some of the berries, and then you'll start fermentation. And as soon as fermentation starts, you really start to get some extraction of color, because extraction really happens with heat. A little bit of color will leak with some time, but that that fermentation with the color extraction really occurs. The big dark red extraction occurs with heat that that fermentation creates. So somewhere between that natural juice just kind of coming out of the grapes from movement and being moved into the tank, there's enough juice to kind of submerge all the fruit in some juices, and that is probably all the skin contact that a rosé would need to get with a day or two of contact with the red skin, because the juice inside of the grape is white. So we're just getting enough bleeding of the grape skin. The bleeding, that's what they would consider it. So they'll open the valve, they'll let out some of the free run juice, and it'll have this color from the Saignée contact. So that's wine production method number 1, Saignée. Production, the typical Provence production method is called direct to press. So they'll take all the grape material and they'll put it in the press, and they'll just press the grapes hard enough that they'll release the color, and long enough and hard enough. So it's a slower, longer pressing of the grapes that unlocks the color of a Provence rosé. And then the third way to make rosé is just to literally take a red wine and a white wine and blend them together. And that can often be done in places that want to control color. They really nail the color in the wine, because maybe they have a clear glass bottle and they want the rosé color to match. So it's looking on the shelf, you don't see different shades of rosé in the same producer. That's done sometimes in Champagne, and other places do it as well. So here in Bandol, they use a combination of Saignée and direct to press. Direct to press probably to get some of the freshness, and the Saignée to get some of the richness, and it's a balancing act. And that's why we have a little bit of a bigger, bolder style with Bandol. They'll even spend some time in large wood foudre or cask, and they can be quite large and very unimpactful, because these are ancient casks, 30, 40, 50 years old. They really don't impart any wood aromas to the wine at all. I can actually smell a little bit of wood on this wine though. Let me pull this one up on the website, see if there's a little bit more data to grasp. Whenever I go to the Merchant of Wine website, I encourage people to find this little Q guy, this little sight glass up in the top corner, put in there. You can search by grape, or you can search by rosé, or you could just get really specific. And we're looking for Terre Brune, and boom, there it is. We're looking at $36.95, shooting to be about $45. Racy expressive rosé with develop its full potential in harmony with fresh and exotic summer cuisine, or structured and complex dishes. Exotic nose dominated by pomelo, honeysuckle, wet roses, potpourri of flower petals. The palate is marked by delicate structure of its bitters. These are descriptions that come right from the producer's website, sometimes even with spelling mistakes and very localized language or lack of ability to speak English. Its intensely fruity flavors are enhanced by the minty and peppery side. So I think that needed a little English translation. But I think maybe white pepper and fresh mint leaf in the nose. I can get off on a little bit of that mint. It's almost like a mint tea.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got there without the prompting, but
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
We can follow along. Yeah.
This seems a bit, a little bit sweet, a little sweeter than the
Yeah.
others.
I think it's riper. How about that?
Okay, that's
Because
what
they're going to pick the Corsican Rosé and the Vino Verde at very youthful points where they don't need a lot of sugar. They're really looking for acid. Where here, they're really looking for fully mature grapes.
Okay.
And they're really making a wine that's going to live a different life, a longer life, a wine that will improve with time and kind of plateau at some point. But we tend to buy them in their youth because of the scarcity and supply and put them in our cellar. I mean, you could drink this right now, absolutely, but it'll actually take on more complexity, get a little more interesting for next year. And in fact, maybe even the year after that. I know some of the top houses aren't even released in their 2020s yet. Really expensive ones. The Tempier, it's $65, $75 a bottle. They're releasing 18s right now. So that's what you'll find. So it's a different moment for these wines. But Terre Brune probably plays in both hands a little bit. You know, drink them younger, drink them older. They want to be part of the conversation, and so it's a more full-bodied rosé experience.
Definitely.
And I'm happy I got to taste these with you guys because, like I said, I got to taste a barrel sample of the Terre Brune and the course. They're both brought in from the same importer. The container was delayed extensively, and we just got them into the store in pretty good supply. So we'll have them for a while, and there's more if we need it. If you guys like these wines, you could pick some up. My pricing is probably about as aggressive as you will find at this point. We do have 10% off on any 12-bottle assortment, so you can buy 6 bottles of the Sol Real and get 6 of something else and still get the 10% off, or you can just buy a solid case of anything you like. But we do ship in California for $10, and
That's good.
that's our program.
Is the Paul Rosé included in that?
Sure, if you like the Paul Rosé we sent out today, grab some Paul Rosé as well. That's a good buy, trust me.
It is. I know. That's a good price.
Yeah, it's a good price, good wine. One of my favorite producers to have, especially if you can lay it down for a while. It's a big boy.
That might be a challenge.
Yeah. You looked at your wife when you said that.
Well, I'm just.
Oh, because we love. Oh, it's like more is more.
No, every night I'm like, oh, so what would you like? She says something good. That's it. So it's open interpretation.
That's good. That's good. It's nice to have someone to drink wine with like that.
Oh,
Totally.
we love it.
Totally.
Well,
This was awesome.
my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our upcoming Zoom calendar. We have the concert
Party.
this weekend at the Hollywood Bowl. And do have a couple of tickets for that if somebody wants some. Someone's unable to go, so I'm trying to help them find someone to take their spot. But we do have next week will be our top values in red wine. We do that quite often because there's just so many things to talk about. And we're always adding new wines. And in fact, if you always want to just look at the website and say, how do we look at the newest wines that are on the website, you could go to this area right here. You kind of got to
the region.
divert a little bit, go to regions, and then just go new to old.
Okay.
And so these are the newest wines that we've just added in the last week. And we're trying to take a little bit of a position on champagne for the holiday, because I do expect it's going to get quite interesting getting champagne for the holiday.
Ask him what's going on, because it's
No, I was talking about that.
You guys look around and try to find a bottle of Dom Perignon right now. You're not going to find any. It's gone. Costco, gone.
No.
So I took some out of my cellar, put it up. I priced it up. I probably paid close to, by the time I got it home, about $180-$200 a bottle somewhere. So we've got some if you want it. But this will happen with the wine industry. And when there's zero supply, that's when wine prices start to climb. I just bought in a bunch of one of my favorite producers, Delamont.
We should get that.
Blanc, La Manille. That just came in, and that's at a very good price still. I'm always trying to find wines that I can recommend people on the low end. Another wine of Portugal that just came in from Symington family, really nice Altano Red.
Someone's knocking. It might be
Wheats for $10 a bottle.
We're here.
We've got this really cool wine called Umani Ronchi. It's a producer I've bought wine from for the past 20 years. This is probably the best Verdicchio I've ever had from them. And so a couple of nice values here. Always trying to find some great Beaujolais. We go through them and we go back to them and they're gone. So we're always finding some new things. But this is all of our new stuff. We just brought in the 99-point Casanova de Neri Brunello de Montalcino that there's only, I think my total allocation was 12 bottles I got to buy. Just to know, coming down the pipeline, Sancerre, there won't be a 2021 harvest in Sancerre, so we're also trying to accumulate a little bit of Sancerre. So is everybody else. So Sancerre is going to get pretty scarce in a hurry. Coming down the pipeline pretty quickly is our event called Stars of South African Wine. And I hear it all the time. I'm not a big fan of South African wines. Please give us a chance to change your mind. The Stars of South African Wine is coming. We've got 6 greats, and I would put these wines up against any wines in the world. This Sauvignon Blanc is our best-selling wine of all time. It's correctly pronounced Betewewachten, and it is from Constantia, right on the ocean of South Africa. Amazing Sauvignon Blanc. South Africa does, if they have one grape I think they do really, really spectacular stuff with, that's Chenin Blanc. And the value is amazing. Both these wines are under $20. This Chardonnay, Reserve Chardonnay, is like Burgundy. I prefer to buy it when it's 10 years old. But this 2019 is ridiculous. Glenelly has a worldwide reputation as a top producer. This Chardonnay is as good as Burgundy. I'm just saying it right now. Canancoup is the brand to know in Pinotage. And even if you think you don't like Pinotage, taste this one and tell me you still don't like it. It's like Zinfandel, it's like Grenache, it's like Syrah. And it's got complexity, and the history is unbelievable. Canancoup is the producer. Top Pinotage. And then French producer who owns still property in the Loire, is making some great wines down in Swartland. So we're going to meet with, and all these wineries are going to be on the Zoom. Terre Brûlée. And this is one of my wines of the moment right now. $15, 90 points. It's a little Shiraz Cinsault blend. Just smoking deal. Smoking little red wine. Fun. It's, $15. It's just hard to imagine where you can get that kind of value the dollar versus the rand is the key to their success. And then we'll taste something on the high end that will blow your mind. This is Fusion 5. It's from de Torin. It's one of the top rated wines in the world. It's a Cab Franc Merlot blend that I adore, and everyone else will too. And gets the big scores, from Parker to Decanter. It's unanimously loved and adored, and so we're going to be learning about them as well. So super fun experience. You can still pick up tickets right now for Stars of South Africa for $39 a person for the tasting kit, where you can get all 6 bottles for only $150. Those prices change tomorrow. And so this is the last call for the special prices, but even at tomorrow's price at $50 and $200, you're still getting it at a great deal. It's a wonderful night of entertainment, being able to listen to the producers from South Africa and the importer, and everybody's going to be on the Zoom with us talking about what's in the glass, and it's really a fun way to do it. If you have a core, then grab the 6-pack because it's below cost at $150, and that's a great way to go. So join me for the Stars events. We have our extensive number of our Stars tastings all being planned out right now. We're working on December now for Stars of France. We just finalized Stars of Cabernet information is going to be coming up for November. We got a couple of fun events in front of us in September and October. New Zealand, Australia, California. We're getting 3 different perspectives on the Zoom. New Zealand producers with Australian and California producers, and then Chile, Argentina, California in October. So really fun to be able to contrast and compare, and the wines that we're getting together are really cool. So take a look at those. You'll be hearing about them if you're on our mailing list. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a great night. My Dodgers are playing the Phillies right now. I got to see how they're doing. And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night. Thank you.
Well done.
Bye, everyone. Good
Bye,
night.
Sue.
Ciao.
Thank you, guys. Bye, Setsuko.